James Gunn. He's got a plan, man, and it's starting to leak out. According to the Hollywood Reporter, DC Studios has a 6-year plan. Remember when Gunn said he had a 10-year plan? Maybe he does. Maybe it's just this and then 4 more. 6-year plan that will culminate in an Avengers Endgame style event. Okay, this is good to hear. This is good to hear. It had been a while since James had spoken about this or since anybody from DC Studios had made any mention of this. It was starting to feel like, frankly, from my perspective, because of the things we heard about Superman, it was starting to feel like maybe Warner Brothers was like, I don't know, like, let's wait and see. And to a degree, they probably are. They probably are waiting to see. You know, they have already greenlit 2 Cape projects, essentially, in this universe before this movie even gets into the theaters. So Superman comes out, you know, a couple of weeks from now, maybe 4 or 5. And then you have Supergirl, which is filming. That's supposed to drop February of next year. I'm excited for that. It looks really cool, actually. And then you have Lanterns. Lanterns filming right now as well. This is going to be like an HBO Max style Lantern, more serious tone show. Okay? But Gunn did have a whole list of projects, right? So whether it was the Paradise Lost thing, whether it was the Blue Beetle thing, which is something he kind of teased, whether or not it was Sergeant fucking Rock, or, you know, Batman Brave and the Bold. There's probably others that I'm missing too. They kind of had a bigger game plan, you know, with some of this stuff. And it clearly has just not worked out that they're doing all those things, right? And so, you know, we saw Gunn kind of get a little quiet about this, not talk about it as much. I think one of the only things he said was, if the scripts aren't ready, we're not going to do it, which is, you know, fair. But at the same time, you don't have to announce the things and put the logos up either, right? So I was sort of questioning myself personally. I was like, okay, is he actually building up? Like, does he have a plan for something that will be Thanos level? Because, you know, Thanos coming in at the end of Avengers, the first one, like, that was like planned, but not like exactly the way you think, actually. By the way, when we did our deep dive on MCU, we realized that Brian Michael Bendis actually was one of the people that just wrote a bunch of crazy post-credit scenes for the first Iron Man, and they land on the one with, you know, Nick Fury coming in. And so even that was kind of like last minute, but it ends up developing into a thing. Like, Marvel's true strength was their ability to like soft commit to stuff and then shuffle and make it look like it was all brilliantly planned. And that includes Thanos. But now, of course, you know, years and years later, it's different. And I think Gunn, he needs more than a soft idea. I think he really needs an actual idea and a way to move this whole thing forward. Now, he's also lately, and this was another reason I thought maybe we wouldn't be getting something like this, he's really made it a point to talk about like how the content needs to work on its own. He doesn't want it to feel like homework. He's talked shit on cameo porn and all these sort of stuff. So, you know, you start, at least I did. I started to get a sense that like, man, maybe he's not even really trying to do that. You know, he's saying it's more like Star Wars than Marvel. It's like, okay, well, what does that mean? Are we doing a big story here? Is it Brainiac? Is Brainiac pulling everything together? Well, according to the Hollywood Reporter, there is a 6-year plan that builds towards an Endgame-like event. And I actually really like that. And I'm glad it's coming out now. I'm glad the reports of this are starting to come out now because, you know, Superman really does look like it has a big chance to be successful. That is when you want to strike the iron. Like, wow, it's hot. And, you know, it's kind of a shame that we don't think they're going to be at SDCC, at least not in a big capacity. I was really hoping, you know, because they have 2 weeks of Superman box office. If it's a smash hit, they could announce World Finest. They could announce all sorts of stuff, get people excited, right? It's a shame we won't be getting that. But the same principle applies. It's like when Minecraft crushes and then they announce a sequel to try to get people there in weekend 2 or whatever. You know, it was like when we heard all the reports that Jake Schreier was going to direct X-Men to try to give Thunderbolts a big push in weekend 2. That's the playbook, right? The playbook is if you have a big hit, you know, a good first weekend, drop some cool news, make it even more of an experience, get people to go. Social proof. So with that logic in mind, The fact that we're hearing these reports is kind of encouraging. It almost feels like that team over there is prepping for the ability to be like, we're doing this. And I think as soon as Superman starts to look good, which could happen within the first week, could happen within the first two, I think Zaslav, who just got voted against, he's not going to get all the money, which is so funny. That's another thing. But I think if Zaslav sees a successful first couple of weeks of Superman, he's going to be like, go for it, James. And at that point, we might begin to hear more about this exact plan, a 6-year plan. Now, I also want to show you this. This right here, technically from a little while ago, but this was reportedly what Gunn and Safran want to do with the DCU projects per year. Okay, so check this out. They want to do 2 live-action films per year, 1 animated film per year, 2 live-action series per year, 2 animated series for HBO Max per year. That's a hell of a lot of output. You know what I mean? And I think, again, one of us probably put the kibosh on this, put the pause on it because, you know, just the genre feels a little fatigued. We're not sure where everything's at right now. So encouraging to hear the things we just heard about Fantastic Four, but we still don't know. We still don't exactly know. So this is a lot of output. But the reason I bring this up is because this makes the 6-year plan make a little bit more sense. I mean, if you're popping off at 2 movies and 2 live action shows a year, that's very good output. Even if you're only doing 1 movie and 1 live action show, that's really pushing shit forward. And then you got all this other ancillary stuff. That's a ton of output, dude. You have the ability to set up a ton of characters because remember, the juice with Endgame was somehow, some way, Marvel created a full-ass living and breathing universe with multiple different characters doing multiple different things that people cared about. And then they brought all of them together in this like crazy, unprecedented way. It felt like everybody was getting shine. Big connected story, culmination to this like 10-year thing. Oh, it was so crazy. That's clearly what they want with this 6-year plan. And so the output makes a little bit more sense when you consider the plan. The question will be, will the plan take this form? And I think it all lies in Superman. It all lies in how Superman performs. How's that opening weekend? How the legs into week 2? But what I'm saying is, you know, we don't have Comic-Con this year for DC. At least it doesn't feel like it. But if Superman does really well, bro, I think next summer or even maybe earlier in the year to sort of match up with the Supergirl thing, you could see some massive announcements. DC could be firing on all cylinders here and really producing a ton of content to flesh this universe out and get us a bit closer to some big event, which I still think is probably going to be Brainiac. That's what I think he's cooking, but we will see. Now, one last bit here about Superman. I want to go over this. There was a novel, an official novel inspired by the film. It's called Welcome to Metropolis, bitches. And then they made Gunn remove the bitches. So it's just Welcome to Metropolis now. And it has a couple of interesting tidbits. It's apparently canon to the DCU, and it has some info as far as like what's going on in this canon. So a couple of things that are interesting here. Here, let's just read this little segment here. It appears that Superman already fought Metallo before the events of the movie. For example, I think we should wait for the police to arrive, Clark whispered. That cyborg definitely looks dangerous. And risk missing the scoop of the year? Lois hissed. Forget it. Before Clark could stop her, she stood up, cupped her hands around her mouth, and shouted, Lois Lane, Daily Planet, who are you? What do you want? The cyborg turned back, staring at Lois. The eye on the robot side of its face glowed red. I am Metallo, it announced in a voice distorted by electronic amplification. City Hall is mine. The mayor and all others have gone. So Metropolis is mine too. Keep distracting him, Lois, Jimmy whispered. I want to get a good shot of Metallo with the City Hall in the background. Staying low, he dashed from fountain to a nearby trash can, trying to get in position without drawing the cyborg's attention. Jimmy, no, Clark whispered. Oh yeah, Lois called him Metallo. I'm not sure it works that way. Just because you scared everyone away doesn't mean you own the city, Tin Man. City Hall's just a building. Standing in front of it, waving your arms like a maniac, doesn't put you in charge. Okay, so I don't really understand how that means he had already fought Metallo, but perhaps that's coming in from a different section. Clark also apparently wears his suit under his regular clothes, just like in the classic comic stories. We already knew that. There is a new villain named the Hammer of Bavaria that will be introduced in the film, and the book says he's just as strong as Superman. I believe that's the clone. I believe that is the Ultraman clone who's in that armor in the trailer. Green Lantern Guy Gardner shows up and uses his ring to make some fun and strange things. He creates stuff like a water bottle that filters water, a flying board to ride on, a big net, a trampoline, a battering ram, a spear, a cactus, an octopus, and even a jet engine. So that's kind of fun. Definitely making some cool constructs. All of this helps build a picture of the DC universe that's already full of heroes, action, and history before Superman's big movie story even starts. And then they have more stuff from the, the movie concept art, the Justice Gang, and all that. So kind of interesting. So he's obviously fought against Metallo before. You have him wearing the suit under his regular clothes. That's pretty standard. Guy Gardner doing a bunch of crazy stuff. Obviously, we knew Gardner had been active for a while. And then I think the other thing is the Hammer of Bavaria, who I still think is going to be a clone of Clark and end up being Ultraman. So kind of just some little tidbits there for that new DC universe. And again, the big story is that the 6-year plan, man, people are starting to talk about the 6-year plan. I think that speaks to some confidence and some buzz starting, because that wouldn't be a thing unless they were actually talking about it. That was in the trades. So the studio could have put the kibosh on that, including Gunn himself, who he has done that before. You know what I mean? So fascinating, man. I have high hopes for Superman and for the DCU. You know, what I said on Twitter, and I truly believe this. I truly feel this way. I want this to succeed. DC deserves to be seen this way. They have incredible characters, incredible mythos. They have some of the best villains, dude. Their villains are dope as hell. DC deserves to be seen this way. DC deserves to have a big payoff in Avengers Endgame event, and to really pop off and do, you know how in Endgame and in Infinity War, we had all these really fun comic booky moments that get brought into those films. Do we need that for DC? Like, there's moments. You need those moments for DC. So I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just in a good mood because all the Warhammer stuff that's coming out. But I'm getting optimistic about this. I'm excited for Superman. I hope it doesn't suck. I hope they cut out all those jokes. I hope it's going to be real good. So there you go. There's some updates about DC, the plan. They should have ticket sales for Superman soon, you would assume, right? Like, because, again, Fantastic Four is 2 weeks later, and they're selling out theaters right now. So you would assume Superman ticket sales go on sale soon. And we'll have an indicator there of, like, what does the first pop look like as well. So, of course, like always, we'll follow along with the whole thing. I'm excited for both films. I want both films to do better. I just want Fantastic Four to win, or to make a little bit more money than Superman, so that I get $500 from Brandon Davis. All right. Thanks for watching, and if you like this clip, smash a like on the actual video and subscribe to this channel. That way more of these clips get into your feed. I've also linked the full episode below if you want to check out the entire thing, including the Q&A we do with fans. You can also watch this show live. We do it live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can also find all of my content, including the videos I put on my main YouTube channel, on the podcast feed.